Hello and welcome to the gallery. My name is Jon and today we are trying out the new contrast paints. Now, the hobby scene here in Iceland is very good, and it's very helpful. So I put out a small ad if anybody could lend me the new contrast paint lines so I can try it out. And a local hobbyist came with a reply quick and easy and said, yep, sure, go ahead, try them out. So he lent me them for the evening and I tried out the new paint line. I made these little test strips, which are just cardboard with a little texture paint and then painted white because they are saying that the new undercoat is really white and really awesome. Let's see how that goes. I have my doubts. So after that, I just added paint to the strips and that's where we'll start out.
Okay, so let's go over the scoreboard. I'm giving everything a score from 0 to 3. Sediment, how much we have to shake the paint before use. In this case, there's a precious little sediment or separation, most likely due to the fact that I had to travel with the paints and they might have gotten a good shake while doing that. Also, new paint bottles, and that might help. However, it's not unlikely, and I have heard it through the grapevine from various sources, that the more mixed of the colors are, the more they separate. I checked this, of course, before painting the test strips. Other items I will be looking into is opacity of the paints, whether they cover the base coat completely or only thinly and there in between. Similarity to other paints in the line and what those paints might resemble. And finally, the vibrancy of the paint. This is perhaps a little bit of a personal preference thing. Following this, I will take a look at a few of the paints that stick out to me for good or bad reasons, and general thoughts on the new line. But first, let's finish painting these test strips.
Now that we've added paint to all the strips, I would like to point out that on my Instagram page, which is linked below, you can find all pictures of all the strips so you can see what it looks like a little bit better. And while you're down there, you know there's these subscription and all those little buttony things. You can hit them as well. It's fine by me. But now let's go into reviewing the paints just a little bit.
Now the key word I will be using is similar, so bear with me because you will hear that quite a lot over the next few minutes. As you can see here, the colors are painted on these test strips and they are quite vibrant for the most part, so that's a good thing if you're going for that. The two extatical paints were quite much the same as they were here before, or thereabouts by my reckoning, so no big news there. The scores were quite similar overall for all the paints except for 3 paints. Gutriba's Flesh scored quite low as it had by far the most separation and needed the most shaking. And Pilar Glacier and Dreadful Visage, as they both were quite transparent and muted. But still I really liked those 2 colors and can well see me using them as glazes. Some of the paints felt just like a properly good undercoat of color with perhaps little to no feeling of that contrasty aspect of shading and highlighting that we've come to know. But they do give a good undercoat. The yellow Imperial Fist one looks like a dreamboat, to be honest, and Sigvald Burgundy, Leviathan Purple and Pilar Glacier, it's a horrible name to say, are tasty looking tones in my opinion. Let's just pan through the colors in a rickety slow motion here so you fine folks can get a feeling for the colors and how they come out, both on the rough bit of the testing strip as well as the smooth. A few of the colors are, in my opinion, again, quite similar to old contrast paints. Not the same, but you can very well get away without buying these if you have the old set beforehand. The colors are as follows: Garagax, Sewer, and Sigor Brown. The new one is a bit muddier than the old one, but the old one has a little bit of a redder tone, but it's nothing too spectacular of a difference. Black Legion and Black Templar, both black paints designed for the same purpose. The new one feels like it has even more pigment and is one of the paints in the new set that almost colors in like a regular paint. But you can very well get away with just using Black Templar and perhaps putting down another coat just a little bit thinner on top and getting a pure black-ish out of it. Gutribber's Flesh and Plaguebearer's Flesh. Similar colors and the same as with the black paints. It's mainly just amount of pigments that is setting mostly apart, well, in my opinion. You could possibly get away with either one of these, but of the two I like the new one more because of that higher pigment value. Carandra's Green and Warp Lightning. These are similar, but there is indeed a bit of a tonal variant to them, but not overly much. Perhaps not unusual considering how many green colors are now in the contrast range that it will overlap quite a bit. Croxigor Scales and Achillean Green. Now, looking at the pots and the names, these are quite different, but I think you can use Croxigor Scales just thinned out, and then it's similar to Achillean Green, or use Achillean Green in 2 layers and get a similar result as Croxigor. Not a perfect match, perhaps, but I think the difference is not that profound, really. Briar Queen Chill and Griff Charger Grey. Okay, bear with me. The different colors on the pots is a dead giveaway that they are not a perfect match 1 for 1. But on a test sheet and primer they were surprisingly similar, even though there was a difference, mainly due to the fact that one has a lot more pigment to them. Can you guess which one that is? Yeah, ding dong, of course the Briar Queen, but still similar colors once did on the model. Onto paints that are a bit more similar. Osserman Blue and Talasar Blue. They are similar in most aspects, just a slightly different tint to the blue, honestly. These two have similar differences and similarities as the Croxigor and Achillean, Stormfiend and Leviathan Blue. Similar in many ways and could be interchangeable with a little work. Now, thank you very much for joining me here today. There are links in the description for all kinds of stuff, social media and various tidbits. You do with it what you will. Like, share and subscribe and hit that little bell thing in the bottom and let the colors flow. But until next time, farewell.